Very excited today to join Mike Chisholm. Mike, you've been 23 years in the technology space for the accounting profession. You spent 10 years as an accountant prior to that. You've built and sold 2 technology companies for accounting firms, which is just awesome as an entrepreneur. And now you're part of the CCH family as the CEO of CCH Collaborative Solutions. So today, I'd like to ask you a few questions in relation to what's happening in the technology space in 2 areas, specifically for businesses who accounting firms service and for the accounting profession itself. So first question is, what's going on at the business end when it comes to technology, and what are some of the changes they're experiencing there?
Well, I guess that's coming back to cloud accounting and how's that affecting small business owners. So there's a lot of noise around that. And people are adopting it. But it's still actually the early adopter stage, in my view. There's 2.5 million businesses in New Zealand and Australia, and a tiny percentage of them have cloud solutions. That's having an impact in terms of the data they have and the impact that has on information that will allow them to run their business better, and the connectivity of that to the accountant.
So right now, it's only a fraction of the 2.5 million businesses in Australasia have adopted a cloud accounting type package, or even for that matter, internet-based, software for their own businesses, whether it be database or whatever.
Yeah.
What are you seeing, on that small percentage? What impact is it having at the business end so far?
Well, I'm not going out interviewing small businesses, but the feedback from those businesses that use it, they're really happy with it, because it's given them current, up-to-date, relevant information that allows them to make, better decisions for running their business. And if they've chosen a solution that's really connected them to their accountant, then they're pretty happy about that as well, because the accountant can look in at that data and give them some advice or help or correct mistakes that they might make, just simple things like coding, to actually keep them on the right track and keep them compliant.
So theoretically, although it's only a small percentage of early adopters, having that data available at the business end, should enable them to run a better business, because they've got real-time data rather than waiting for 18 months later for the accountant to produce a set of accounts.
Yes, but I'm taking another track now and sort of talk about a couple of myths that I've seen from coming out, from the current interviews that you've had, and my observation, and books, the rest. So one is, I think it's a bit of a myth that having a better accounting solution per se, if I get really clear about it, a debit credit engine, so I can look at a trial balance, is somehow, and even with that being up to date, it's somehow going to make me run a better business. So let's go back to a book that a lot of people are aware of and inspired me, The E-Myth.
Michael Gerber. Yeah.
So I've read that book. I've got a couple of 100 copies in my room, and I keep giving them out to everyone I meet. Nowhere in that book, you remind me, you've read it, nowhere in that book does it say you'll run a better business and be a better entrepreneur if you have a better accounting system.
I had dinner with Michael Gerber many years ago, and he did not mention that.
No, because it's not because a debit credit engine that actually spits out some numbers won't make you a better business or a better entrepreneur. So I actually think it's got skewed a little bit, I've got this beautiful accounting software, somehow everything's changed because I've got some numbers and I'm now going to be a better business. I just think that's rubbish.
Okay, so that's myth number one.
That's myth number one, because actually I'll go back to Michael's book then and say what truly helps you as a business owner, and that actually comes down to procedures, processes, systems, advice. And actually, can I keep talking?
And I suppose to take it further, throw in innovation and marketing.
For sure.
Which has got nothing to do with accounting.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. And actually, if I put a plug in there, and it's not really a plug, part of the reason I was happy to be acquired by CCH is they're the content providers of systems, procedures, content that will help the business owner. There's a bit more to go in there, but they inspired me with their vision and story to do that. So let's have an example. Right through to your small business accounting package, whatever that might be. Certainly it can be true for us because we'll supply IBIS, so we own that. Imagine the business owner then going right through and saying, I'm coding a car lease. And right in there, they can actually pop up the content around car leases and the advice for that.
Well, that's
a practical solution.
That's a different gameplay.
Yeah.
And that is taking what used to be consultants, coaches, seminar type advice on how to improve the situation of or whatever, and linking that with the technology and the data, so it's real-time information.
Yes.
And real-time help is what you're saying.
Yes, yes. Actually, but provided by the most trusted advisor. So actually that content that comes up has whose name on it?
The accountant's.
The accountant's name on it. It might have underneath that, right at the bottom, provided by CCH, because they're the credible, trusted content creator. So there's more to it than that, because you can carry on with business advice and coaching that you could put into there. But the connection of content, advice, procedures, and all of that, right through into software, I think is the real story. And the real help in this online connected world is not just, is far more than a trial balance. The other point, the other myth I wanted to make, clear up, because I totally believe this is true. It doesn't matter what we do with technology and advancement of it. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of business owners who get up and want to be a great technician and a great business owner. They want to make great coffee. They want to be a great plumber. They want to build great buildings. They do not want anything to do with accounting. And so I've heard some other providers promote that their software is so cool and so sexy. Can accounting software really be sexy? And so great that the business owner now jumps out of bed in the morning, runs to their computer and goes, wow, that's what I want to do first. That is a load of BS. In reality. So I wanted to clear that up. And then actually, because I heard another provider talk about that as well. A provider that's actually largely doesn't self-promote, but is the largest provider in the industry of connecting business owners to accountants. Who is that, Rob? Do you know?
Look, not for me to talk about other companies.
Okay, well, so it's Banklink.
Right.
Because they just don't promote themselves, but they have hundreds of thousands of businesses, and they've been doing it for years to connect business client data with the accounting firm solution. And so somehow also this whole new cloud accounting is revolutionary, it's new, it's different, and suddenly we've just been able to connect data for the accounting firm with the accountant, data for the business owner with the accountant. I just go, hey, it's been done for years and years. There's just not been a lot of promotion about it. So the accountant, many firms, the Banklink have about 5,000 firms who are already collecting data on behalf of their client. It comes in there. There's no double entry in terms of the way that's been done, and they've been able to help their clients. So I know there are some business owners who absolutely value and want and appreciate the connectivity that they get with a cloud accounting application. And they probably will appreciate more the add-ons that they can get to that to market and to connect in this new social environment. But I'm just saying, hey, there are, and there always will be many business owners who are saying, I'm a great builder or a plumber, but I don't want to be anything to do with accounting because my accountant does it.
So let me understand this right. The cloud accounting product on its own, you believe, is not going to transform the way, the profitability of the cash, the wealth of the business, right?
It does
on its own.
On its own, it makes an impact and a difference. I don't want to put that down. It does make an impact and a difference.
But if I heard you right, to really make a difference to the performance of that business, we need to connect the how to fix that issue or improve that number as well.
Absolutely.
So let's say we do that, right? Let's say we've got this utopia system that this business person's got access to, and their profitability is down or up, their sales are down, their leads are down, their whatever numbers are down or up, right? Cash flow, whatever. If I've got this right, they can go click, and something will appear to say, hey, why don't you try this and fix that?
Well, you may do it that way, but actually the way we're working on, and the way I've been discussing this for a long time now, is actually it's the accountant who will do that. And the solutions that we're building actually create the dashboard for the accounting firm that already pops up and says, when they start their day, these are the business clients you need to be calling and looking after. So that client who's busted their overdraft limit or has got cash flow difficulties or whatever, you can rate this whole range of things there, they appear on the to-do list for the accountant. They are the trusted advisor in the knowledge and expertise required on how to actually deal with a cash flow or some of the business analysis issues resides with the accountant, not with the plumber.
So let's assume that this product and solution is complete.
Yes.
How will this impact the way the accountant works with their small to medium enterprise client, their business client?
Well, it's a bit of a follow-up from what I've just said, because I think, and I'm looking forward to the change that you'll get being an accountant saying, oh, I can be proactive. Well, that's a good word here, isn't it? I can be proactive because I've actually got the data, real-time data in front of me, popping up all the time saying, this is the work you should concentrate on, not only in their own firm or practice, but also for their client. So I think that's a big change.
So by the sound of it, that's going to make the accountant more useful to their client.
Absolutely. And on top of that, we've focused on actually giving the tools to the accountant to help them do that. So again, I'm a little bit frustrated sometimes when I look at some providers just sort of almost saying, oh, well, compliance revenue has dropped. Look up the partner list to figure out what to do. Or, like, you need to be more, to do more advisory work. Go do it. And when there's no real tools there to actually help them do that.
What's your view on, although only a small minority right now of the total businesses in Australasia and the world have an internet-based system, what's your view on the prevalence of that in the future? How far do you think that'll go?
Yeah. Well, so I'm the same as all the other Rod and Tim and Paul, the people you've interviewed, all saying, hey, in X years' time, whether that's 5 years or 10 years, it's not a question any longer. So everybody will be running a cloud application. But I don't think it'll get talked about that way. I think that term might even disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
Because who cares?
It's just another system.
It's just another system. I just do my work
on the internet rather than the hard drive.
On the internet, So, well, it is on a hard drive actually.
It's on someone's hard drive.
It's on someone's hard drive.
Sure. Yeah. It's just not on my laptop. On my
PC. That's right. Yeah.
So with all that happening there, what effects can you see? Let's say, for example, you've got an accounting firm that does nothing, no added value work with what you're saying and helping the clients, right? They do no added value work. They just stick to their traditional compliance, end of year returns, their BASTA GST, and yet their customer base is all migrated to a better system.
Yeah.
What do you think might happen to the accountant that does nothing in the added value area to those clients?
I agree with you. I mean, that they'll lose revenue. So then,
do you want to put a number on it?
Oh no, I don't want to put a number on it because it's a bit hard to judge. What I see is there might be some accounting firms who'll be out there still managing and looking after all those business owners who want to have nothing to do with accounting. So in the end, the accountant is saying, look, I look after your all the compliance stuff, the GST, the annual accounts, the tax. I just do all of that. I am your accountant for that bookkeeping side. They will be there and they'll continue to be there because I believe, as I was saying earlier, that there's lots and lots of businesses who just don't want to do it. They just want to be good at their business. So they'll exist. So if you're saying the example of an accounting firm, then we're saying, hey, all their clients wanted more than that, and they swapped over to cloud accounting products and were actually being proactive and doing some of their compliance work themselves because it naturally dropped out. That's something that Rod said, and I believe that that's true. Well, they will have to. In the end, they'll lose a percentage of revenue, and it could be quite significant actually. So that'll change the size of their business. In effect, they might still remain as profitable, but it will change the size of their business, or they're going to have to adopt value-add services. It sort of happens with the evolution of accounting firm because you have new people coming in saying, hey, we've got to do more and we've got to do it differently. So I can't tell. It's over to...
Okay. So let's talk about the data and the transportability of the data. Right now, if I have a hard drive accounting system on my hard drive, to get that data to the accountant, I have to put on a disk or a stick and physically take it or mail it or courier it in, right? Now we're talking about a click to transport the data.
Yes.
Or I've given you access to my data.
Oh, that's right.
And there's no data to transport.
That's right.
So with that in mind, because I believe that and this has been a bit harsh on the profession, but the main reason that clients stay with accountants is because the accountant has financial intimacy with the client, right? Because they know things that the client doesn't tell other people.
Yes.
So that will still exist, But the other reason that clients stay with accountants, no matter how poor the service is or the service is because they think it's too hard to change.
Yes.
And if we're adding this cloud accounting thing or internet accounting thing in, which the data is now easy,
yes,
you know, what's going to stop that client if the service is poor? The services, added value services you're talking about, are non-existent.
Yeah.
What's going to stop that client going, well, I'll just get it done offshore somewhere in Asia?
That's right.
Or I'll just find a cheap accountant that doesn't add value, just does it for cheap.
Yes.
What's going to happen there?
Well, it's going to change. It's going to actually increase the ease of switching. So I raised that as an example just this week at the ETSA conference, being told about a firm that had put a client onto a cloud accounting product, agreed to a fee. Everyone's happy with that, and they're doing the work. And then the clients then looked up the partner list, the publicly promoted displayed partner list of other firms who do that service, found someone else.
With the same product?
With the same product, found someone else, got a quote, and flick, you're switched. So actually, I think I've been saying this is an issue.
It's a big issue.
This is an issue. Look, you've always been able to switch, but that's pretty easy.
But the switching from the business point of view has been the accountants had us bluffed that it's hard to switch.
Right.
Got to transport the data.
Yeah.
They know my staff.
Yeah.
They've been dealing with me for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, they give pretty rubbish service, and I want more, but it's hard to switch.
Yeah.
But now the switching, not the cost, but the switching effort is so simple.
Yes.
So for an accounting firm, what do they need to do to arrest that attrition rate, potential attrition rate of their clients?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's some of the stuff that you talk about, Rob, in terms of saying, hey, you've got to create great relationships with your clients and be more proactive. It's as simple as that. So the idea of not being proactive, I'm a compliance-driven bookkeeping accounting shop, just doing that work without great relationship at all with your client, then hang it all. If I go way back there, I was trained when I first started working in an accounting firm. It was almost embarrassing to say, really, but told what we do is when a client comes in, we make them wait so many minutes in the reception so that they understand they're dealing with a professional. Isn't that bizarre? Some of that attitude
still exists today.
Does it? How sticky is that? So you think it's really sticky. So that will change. But hey, I also say, and you've heard me say it, that two certainties in life:
death and taxes.
Death and taxes. There it is. So hey, accounting firm, an accountant, what a great job you have. In terms of that, you'll never go away. So, and what I was saying the other day when I was talking at ATSA, as much as being able to do a whole lot of the bookkeeping work, automation of bank feeds and automation of coding, and that, it takes away some of that work. Business owners, I believe, the vast majority of them still want the accountant to actually put their stamp on it and say, hey, I've looked at it, I've checked it, I'm compliant, I've followed that through to the tax return, I own that on your behalf. And business owners, I don't think, will walk away from that.
Mike, to wrap,
and file it themselves.
No, not at all. But they will switch if they're not getting value out of what they're getting, and it becomes a price competitive war.
There's a big concern there, though, Rob, isn't there? Because hey, where do you go with that? Look, I've just found that I could get. Here's the reality: it's much cheaper to get the work done in New Zealand than Australia.
Because the labour rates are less.
The labour rates. Look at the exchange rate. Australia. Now we've just gone to India. India's getting a bit expensive. Now we've just gone to Afghanistan. Where do you take it in the end?
Well, if it becomes commoditised.
Yeah, it totally becomes commoditised.
And commodities drive price down.
Yes, that's right. Actually, one other little point with it that I think's been lost is, I tell you what also gets commoditised is that cloud accounting software. So that's been completely lost. The idea that a business owner will say, sure, $50 a month, I'm not worried about that, I think it's also a load of rubbish. And I've heard plenty of comment on that. I think that $50 a month will either become $5 a month or free.
Like many other things around the world.
Yeah, that's right, because it's a commodity.
Yeah.
So actually, I think that's an issue for some of the suppliers. And if I just, add there, all my focus has always been, and will continue to be, and I think within the CCH then, is for the accountant. It's add value to the firm.
So, Mike, 23 years as a provider of technology to the accounting profession.
Yes.
10 years prior to that being an accountant in a firm, 33 years of work.
How old am I?
No, that's not the question. You've seen a lot of change.
Yes.
You've seen, in 86, New Zealand introduced GST.
Yes.
You've seen that because you've dealt in Australia as well. You've seen Australia in the year 2000. And now we've seen another big change. You've seen all the legislation over a 33-year period. Yeah. Change. Yeah. Where would you rate this event that's going to take many years to play out, this event of change of accounting systems and behaviour, where would you rate that vis-a-vis, in change sense, vis-a-vis what you've seen in 33 years?
Right, okay. It's right up there. It might be the single biggest change event, but we're still at the beginning of it.
We're definitely at the beginning,
okay, okay. So we're still at the beginning of it, but it may well prove to be the single biggest change. So let me just go back and say, because I'm so old and lived through all those generations, I started working with a Burroughs bookkeeping machine, and we computerised it. So the change from computerised the firm, the change preparing a set of annual accounts back then took on average 5 hours. It was pencil ledger, pencil set of accounts, IBM Golf or typewriter machine, 5 hours. And I was the guy. What enthused me with computing was I was the guy who actually helped computerise the practice I was working in there. And we got the time down from 5 hours to 15 minutes. That was huge. And really huge, because actually going from those mini computer systems to PCs, I couldn't see the level of change.
Was this like for a personal return or something? Or a company return or a personal return?
Sorry, for doing the tax.
Oh, doing tax.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm talking about preparing a set of annual accounts.
Annual accounts for a business, like small business.
Yeah. So the work in the accounting firm to actually do all of that and type them up was 5 hours, and the computer took it 15 minutes. And then sometimes I say, well, okay, that was a mini computer, and we went to PCs and saying, oh, it's all so much better, there's a generational shift. So we got it down from 15 minutes to 3 minutes. And in many ways, I say, big deal. You know, there's a little bit more efficient, but not game-changing like bookkeeping machines to mini computers. And I'll go right back to the other end and say, I think we could well look in a few years' time and say the change to the internet, which is actually a change to a connected world, to the advice, to the e-myth, actually being able to run right through systems and computer systems connecting the accountant to the business owner, I think that could be the biggest change. I hope it is, because actually it's why I go to work at the end of the day, saying, hey, if I can actually facilitate that and be part of that process, you'll actually improve the performance of, if you improve the performance of every small business owner, which is the engine room of the economy, wow, what a great outcome.
Mike, what I love about what's going on, because I'm with you, I think this is a massive game changer. However it plays out, we're at the 5% mark of the whole thing.
That's right.
So we are just getting started, and everyone's excited by it. A lot of traction, a lot of press. But I look at this and look at the last 15 years, what the internet has done to many, many industries. And, you know, in a repetitive industry, a processing industry, an industry that can be automated, systemized and commoditized, the internet can do that without the need of a human.
That's right.
And what I'm seeing is that's where it's all going.
Yes.
You know, and these massive corporation software companies are inventing things to make that happen. Yeah. What's your view on that?
I agree with you. I think that's exactly where it's going. And why spend a day, coding bank statements and punching data in? So you just remove all of that, then you're back to saying, okay, well, what will make a modern accounting practice? It'll actually be built around advice and other services which will truly help the business owner. So I can't wait to get there, because the irony out of all of that to me is that the accountant is the most trusted person. The whole group of people who a business owner could trust and rely on for advice, the accountant comes out way ahead of everyone else. They just really haven't been given the tools.
And now, Mike, thank you. We have the tools on the way.
They're on the way.
They're on the way. Many have been developed so far, and changes afoot. So thank you for this interview. No doubt it'll stir up with your myths, stir up some people around the world. So thank you, Mike.
Okay, thanks, Will.